One's ready. Go!
Hey everybody, welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. You're in the team room doing something a little different today. Going to also stream on Instagram to see what happens. I don't know. I'll see if my house even has the bandwidth for it. So we'll see. I'm going to attempt to multitask and all that kind of stuff. This is the latest Air Force news. If you haven't been paying attention to anything that's been going on, welcome. I'm Peaches from the One's Ready crew. Aaron and Trent are not going to be able to make it today, so you're just stuck with me. Head over to onesready.com. Use the promo code. There is no promo code. Check out our merch. What the hell am I talking about? I really got to watch my language on this too. So onesready.com. We've got merch over there. You guys can head over to Prep. We've got a reading list on there that you guys can peruse. We still need to update it with some of the guests that we've had on recently, but then also you can go to some of our partner discounts, check out all of those that are on there. You guys know that we've had Drink Hoist. They've been a partner for quite some time now. Use the promo code ONESREADY. Website is drinkhoist.com to get your hydration, IV level hydration, that is, ready to go. Hey, just real quick before I do this, though, on Instagram, are you guys able to hear me just fine? I'm using this kind of little wireless mic, so I want to make sure you guys are able to see it. Hey, what's up, Mike? It's good to see you on here, dude. All right, so let's check out what has been going on. If you guys have been paying attention recently, at least to the channel, I've been hopping on live occasionally to kind of read the news. And what happens is the Air Force sends out every single day a kind of what's the latest in the Department of the Air Force. So it's primarily Air Force, but there is some Space Force flavor in there. News for the commanders and the chiefs to peruse so that they know what's kind of going on in the force. It's put together by the PAO office or the Public Affairs office. And usually there's some good nuggets in there, kind of gives you an idea at the unclassified level what the commanders and the chiefs are being told. So we'll dive right into it, and then we'll go from there. And then, like I said, if you have questions, then put them in the chat. I'm going to tell you right now, though, at least for the YouTube vote, well, either way, it's going to be tough to see. So if you're on YouTube, super chat it. I'll try and get to it, because at least I can go back through and I can see it easily. Instagram, I'm probably hopeless. Let's be real. So anyway, and really, if you guys like this, then maybe we'll try and do it kind of more often, and we'll go from that. But it's new for me, so we'll see how it goes. So, all right, first things first. The number one topic that was brought up was Hegseth, the Pentagon doing a complete review of the Afghanistan withdrawal. This was written in the Washington Examiner yesterday from Mike Brest. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said Wednesday that the Department of Defense is reviewing the 2021 withdrawal from Afghanistan. Quote, "We're doing a complete review of every single aspect of what happened with the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan and plan to have a full accountability," Hegseth said. "We're taking a very different view, obviously, than the previous administration. The first Trump administration negotiated the withdrawal with the Taliban in 2020. A Taliban uprising in July and August complicated the withdrawal with an attack on Kabul International Airport, killing 13 Americans in the withdrawal's final phase." So that's good. A lot of people have asked for a lot of accountability on this, which I agree. I think if a young airman, young soldier, young guardian, young Marine is going to be held accountable for their actions, I also think that any kind of 4-star, 3-star general or colonel or chief, senior NCO, if they're involved in something that happens, they too should be held accountable, not just kind of swept under the rug. And that's kind of what we've seen recently. And if you know anything about warfare and tactics, you know that like there's really no denying that was a botched withdrawal. It never should have happened that way. Even if you're not a tactician or a warfighter or somebody like that, you should know and agree, unless you're completely biased, that did not go correctly. So I'm happy to see this. Accountability is a big thing with us. You know, we tout the meritocracy thing, and I do believe in the meritocracy thing. So a meritocracy also means that you get held accountable for the good things you do and the bad things you do. So if you're wrong and you did something wrong, then you should be held accountable. The next one, let me take a sip real quick. All right. Let's see. Oh, I see this. I saw your call to action. Give us guaranteed contracts. I'm getting screwed to go SWO EV for a waiver I had to get in an already waived court case. Case was dismissed, which is dumb. All right, thanks. Add into those polls and those questionnaires and those comments. Like, you can take that comment and put it in the actual reel if you hadn't already, because what we are doing is we are kind of fact finding and also kind of doing some homework for some of the leadership within the Air Force Special Warfare community, because that's our community. So we're kind of helping them out a little bit. So anyway, so the next one. DoD leadership orders components to scrub DEI content across websites, social media, wrote the Defense Scoop, 27 February, from Billy Mitchell. The Assistant to the Secretary of Defense for Public Affairs directed Defense Department components on Wednesday to remove any content related to diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives and programs from their websites and social media platforms. The directive from Sean Parnell instructs DoD components to remove all, quote, news, lost my place, to remove all, quote, news and feature articles, photos, and videos that promote DEI. The defense media activity will support systematic content removal from the Defense Visual Information, DVIDs for you guys out there, but it's Defense Visual Information Distribution Service, which is like a big library that is categorized not very well, because it's military and it's government owned, but it's essentially a big library where all photos and all videos that are in news articles and pieces that are produced by public affairs get put on. DMA will remove any DEI content still on component websites after March 5th, Parnell said. DoD instruction 5400.17, quote, official use of social media for public affairs purposes, end quote, requires components to acknowledge the removal of the content. So if you guys have been on any social media, especially, like, we'll just use Instagram right now. If you've been on there and you follow any of the base accounts like Hurlburt Field, Nellis Air Force Base, Davis Moth, and any of those, to include organizations like Air Force Special Operations Command, the Air Force page, they all have this little banner up there, which, if you paid attention to Aaron Loves America, he talked about it and did a reel on it. They all have this saying on there, and that's essentially their way to acknowledge receipt and their action of that. So I think it's great that it's happening. I mean, you got to think about, if you are not on board with things that are going on in the military or whatever. Sorry, I'm getting texts. If you're not on board with that kind of messaging, you got to think about it. They're using our tax dollars, right? We all pay taxes, using the tax dollars to promote whatever that is, whether it's DEI, whether it's other things, people's gender identities and sexualities and all that kind of stuff, or anti-administration stuff or anything like that. So that is not what those are intended to be for. They are intended to be informative, not opinionated. Like, this is opinionated right now. Those are not supposed to be opinionated. So it's a good thing that it's happening. I'm here for it. And man, you guys have been put on notice. You guys have been, public affairs has been operating, not, and granted, this is not all public affairs. Like, most public affairs are really nice people and they do a good job, right? But there are still humans behind those computers and those phones and those messages and comments and everything like that that are putting stuff out there. And the government is supposed to be not the government, the military and the DoD is supposed to be nonpartisan. Like you're not Democrat, you're not Republican, you're not liberal, you're not conservative, you don't espouse religious stuff. So the whole point of that is to do that, and that's great. Okay, you guys on Instagram, you guys are still talking about the contracts thing, which is great. I love it. Take those comments and those inputs and make sure you put them in the actual comment of the reel. That way we can use that stuff. Let's see. All right, that's my opinion on that. Anyway, next one is Pentagon orders transgender helps if you can read. Apparently I can't. South Carolina's education. Pentagon orders transgender troops to be separated from the military. Wrote The Hill, 27 February 2025. Brooke Midgon. The Defense Department issued the Defense Department issued a warning, the Defense Department issued a memo Wednesday directing the removal of all transgender service members within 60 days. Dude, okay, first off, 60 days, that is super quick. I don't necessarily know if I agree with that timeline of 60 days, because there is so much to do within 60 days, or there's so much to do if you're trying to separate, whether you're retiring or separate from the military. Like that is very, very fast, which I agree it does need to happen fast instead of kind of dragging it on. But maybe 90 or 120 days would probably be more appropriate. But like that is, whew, man. I know 60 days may sound like a lot, but it is not, especially because, somebody may have 60 days or more. Somebody could have 75 days of leave. And then what are they going to do? They start leave immediately, and then they get reimbursed for 15 additional days. And then they've got to take care of all their VA stuff and everything. Like there's veteran affairs stuff. There's TMO, which is the folks that move you. So if you don't want to continue to live where you were last stationed, i.e. if you're at Nellis and you're a transgender and you have 60 days to depart, that takes time to get all the moving stuff together and everything, and then also move you. Dude, 60 days is nuts, but right on, that's what it is. So the memo states that affected members may be considered for a waiver on a case-by-case basis, provided there was a compelling government interest in retaining the service member that directly supports warfighting capabilities, and that the person meets certain criteria. These include a willingness to abide by the standards associated with the service member's sex, and that member demonstrates 36 consecutive months of stability in the service member's sex without clinically significant distress. Okay. The policy memo states that trans service members' continued service is not in the best interest of the military services and is not clearly consistent with the interest of national security. LGBTQIA+ rights groups called the memo extreme and likely discriminatory. There it is, folks. I mean, that's not the memo. Like, I don't have the memo up in front of me, but this is the gist of it and of what it says and what it intends. And this is what this, among with other clarifying direction and orders and guidance from leadership, the commanders and the chiefs definitely have. But since this kind of gets shotgunned out to a whole bunch of people, they're not going to put those direct orders in there. So let's see. What am I missing on Instagram? I don't know. I'm sure I'm missing a lot. But anyway, okay. This one we talked about the other week, or last week, but this one is most troops with families to serve. A 3-year tour in Korea, Air and Space Forces released on 27 February. There's no way I'm going to be able to answer or read that name. Most service members on accompanied tours in South Korea will start serving 3-year tours starting in October. U.S. Forces Korea officials said this week. The increased tour length will improve operational continuity, enhance mission readiness, and offer service members and their family greater stability. A U.S. Forces Korea spokesperson said, it enhances the mission effectiveness by providing greater stability, improving unit cohesion, and strengthening the relationships between service members, their families, and the local community, the spokesperson said. 3-year accompanied tours are common in Europe, Australia, and Japan. So I talked about this before. So if you were there and you're already tracking it, like just turn off for a second or just add into the comments. But so you have different tour lengths currently. You have a short tour, long-term tour, or you have 365s, like remote tours, right? So since they're talking about Korea in this case, most of your Korean tours are going to be 1 year, or they currently are 1 year if you're single, meaning unaccompanied. You can also be married and still do an unaccompanied tour to Korea, which is 1 year. So the benefits of that is it's only 1 year. At the 6-month mark, you get to come back for R&R. You generally get your base of preference. Speaking for Air Force here, you usually get your base of preference, and you know where you're going before you even leave for that 365 to Korea. A lot of people, if you're trying to kind of bolster your resume, or like you haven't had a deployment in a long time for whatever reason, because you happen to be in a spot where there's not a lot of deployments opportunities, this is a chance for you to go there, kind of get a pseudo deployment, bolster your resume, and then maybe it helps you for promotion, but also it can help you to get to a location that you want to go. So you go over there, if you're married or you're single, you go over there for a year and you come back and you get to go where you want. The other one is right now a 2-year tour accompanied, meaning you can take your family over there with you. You still end up getting a base of preference after that, still has all the benefits of everything else. It just means that accompanied, you take your family over there and it's 2 years. Now they're going to make that 2 years a 3-year, essentially, is what it's going to do. I don't know whether that's going to, like, you get a lot of people that will volunteer for a 360, a 365 to Korea. So what I don't know is, in my opinion, I don't know whether that's going to hurt or help people volunteering for an assignment to Korea. It mainly because combat controllers don't go over there. We don't have assignments, neither do PJs or SR. So PJ, CCT, and SR, we don't do remotes to Korea. TACPs do that. So out of the Air Force Special Warfare, that's what you're going to get if you're a TACP. Your chances of going to Korea are likely, at least sometime in your career, which is a good thing, right? It's not a bad thing. And that's where it's at. I just can't say for me, because I was never even afforded the opportunity, nor could I have even gone over there if I wanted to. So let's see. Next. And this is specific to the Air Force. I think it's going to be a DoD wide, at least based off of the title. But it says Pentagon's 8-year budget shift could be painful for the Air Force. Defense One, 26 February 2025. Audrey Decker finding 8% budget cuts will be a painful process. The Director of Force Design, Integration, and Wargaming for Air Force Futures said Wednesday, quote, "There's not many places where we can go now for cuts." Major General Joseph Kunkel said, quote, "So an 8% cut to the Air Force is going to be painful. It's going to look really, really bad." However, Kunkel said he hopes the Air Force could use the opportunity to reprogram money into systems that will service the need for great power competition. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth exempted the collaboration combative aircraft. So the CCAs, if you guys are talking about it, you have one F-35 or whatever, and it's got a couple of the larger drones flying with it. So he exempted that program, which is good, because that is big money right there. from cuts, along with any system related to the Golden Dome missile defense program. Kunkel said the Air Force must think about how it will integrate CCAs, or the collaborative combat aircraft, with other platforms so that it doesn't rely solely on fighters. I agree with that. Yeah, dude, an 8% cut is wild. That is a massive amount of money. In a world where we are already fiscally constrained, and I say fiscally constrained in the way, for you guys, hopefully you know what fiscal means. It's money. But yes, are there cuts that for sure can be made to the Air Force budget that I'm not calling them fraud, waste, and abuse, but are antiquated programs, or programs that don't necessarily need to exist anymore, or places we can cut? 100% there are. There absolutely are. Does that equate to 8% of the budget, the annual budget? I don't know, because I don't have the analysis or the forensics on that. But an 8% budget is an enormous cut. So it'll be interesting to see how the Air Force and the DoD, because I think it's a DoD wide cut. It'll be interesting to see how that works. Like, if I'm going to be biased and I start using the words of some of our DoD military and leadership saying, hey, there's never going to be another ground fight, which I completely disagree with. But if I'm going to use their own words against them, then I would also say, well, maybe we need to stop buying so many tanks. Maybe we're good with the amount of M1 Abrams that we have, right? Maybe we're good with the amount of strikers we have. So if we're really going to say that kind of stuff and believe it and be true to it, then, and you're going to cancel my A-10s, right? By death by 1,000 cuts, then maybe let's start shit canning some of the tanks and getting away from that ground war that you say that we're never going to get into again. So anyway, that was a little bit of a rant. Let's see. U.S. and Canada conduct air defense drills in Greenland as Trump pushes for control. Fox News, 27 February. Anders Hagstrom, U.S. and Royal Canadian Air Force aircraft conducted a joint drills in Greenland as part of the Operation Noble Defender earlier this month. North American Aerospace Defense Command officials said the exercise demonstrated airmen's ability to operate, quote, in one of the most austere environments in the world, end quote. If you guys haven't operated in the Arctic, it is tough. It is tough on equipment. Same with extreme heat in the desert too. That is difficult. Said Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Shimo, who praised Denmark's support of the exercise. Danish Prime Minister Frederickson, maybe, has rebuffed calls by President Donald Trump to sell Greenland to the United States, but has expressed willingness to allow a larger U.S. footprint in territory. Yeah, okay, cool. Next one, Skyraider 2, Air Force Special Operations unveils name for new aircraft with nod to attack planes used in Korea and Vietnam. Stars and Stripes wrote on 27 February. Corey Dixon, the OA-1K armed Overwatch aircraft will be named the Skyraider 2. Air Force Special Operations Command officials announced Thursday. AFSOC Commander General Michael Conley said he's excited about the new aircraft, adding, I think we have a capability that's only ours, and we are going to have the capability to shape that into something that is the rest of the nation might not even know they need right now. The Government Accountability Office, or the GAO, has questioned whether the OA-1K program makes sense as the Air Force pivots away from the counterterrorism operations. But AFSOC officials said the aircraft will prove useful in supporting special operations. Okay, so here's where you're going to see my bias, right? Obviously, I spent the last 25 years in special operations doing business and all that kind of good stuff. So obviously I am going to be biased on this. You are, the Air Force is taking away the A-10. They've wanted to take away the A-10 for years now, like a really, really long time, even to before the Gulf War. And then the Gulf War happened, and they said, holy cow, this is amazing. Then they wanted to take it away, and then 9/11 happened. Then they brought it right back in, right? So the Air Force wants to do that. Recently they've decimated the maintenance and the funding for A-10s, so it is difficult for them to find parts. It's difficult for them to get things airborne. They are cannibalizing other A-10s to make sure A-10s fly, and that's kind of the way they've been doing things, because there is still a requirement for close air support on the ground. And as much as the A-10 is amazing at close air support, there are other capabilities that it has that, even if it's not in, directly in the fight, because it can't get in because of the threats, it still has, I'm being careful here, it still has the capability to provide mission impacts even outside of a close air support role. So, what are our other CAS air platforms, right? F-16s, F-15s, B-1s. You can maybe it's a stretch, make the argument for F-35s. And granted, we had Juan Bier on, and we were talking to him about it. And okay, it's a mindset, not necessarily an aircraft, which I do agree with, because the human is more important than the actual platform they're flying. And if they have the mentality and that kind of ground-centric mentality, then they can help in a close air support scenario. However, there's still, like, when you count 181 bullets out of an F-35 versus, thousands of 30 Mike coming out of an A-10, like, there's a big difference. So when we start talking about an AFSOC Skyraider, an AFSOC owned Skyraider 2, the OA-1K, like, it seems like a pretty sweet gig that is, and I don't know how they'll task and organize this, but if it strictly sticks within AFSOC and supports AFSOC and SOCOM entities, which is what it would do because it's AFSOC, it could be pretty sweet. Now, what I don't know, and here are the other things with it, because the Air Force went with the light attack thing quite some time ago. It wanted to go with the Super Tucano, and there was another one that they wanted to go with, and they were trying to figure out which one to go with. The problem with that, like, it's a pretty sweet aircraft, but the problem with it is in high elevation and during the summertime, with the air gets thinner, that thing, when you load it down with some kind of pod or sensor, a single GBU-12 and some 50 cal and the armor that you're going to put on it that is required to have on it, the thing can't even take off. So you had to, now maybe it can take off in the winter, but most of the time it cannot take off in the summer due to the air being so thin. So you would have to make a decision. Okay, am I taking a GBU-12? Am I taking 50 cal? Am I taking a pod or some kind of sensor ball? And, like, so there's trade-off. You couldn't take all three. You had to pick two, basically. So that's a limb fact, right? And then what good is some 50 cal being delivered in a strafe? I don't know, right? Versus a single GBU-12, and then what? So, like, I don't know if it's the right answer or not either. I do think it's pretty cool that we are going to still continue to have some kind of close air support capability. I mentioned the fighters, but I neglected to mention, your RPAs, your MQ-9s, your B-1s, your B-52s, that all provide a type of close air support as well, right? So, I don't know if the F-15EX is going to do any of that either. Like, there's still some unknowns, and there's some gaps in capability that the Air Force is going to have to figure out. So, yeah. Oh, there's another AFSOC one. With deliveries complete, AFSOC looks at AC MC-130 upgrades. This was written in or published in Aviation Week on the 26th of February. Air Force Special Operations Command will add long-term capabilities to the MC-130 Combat Talon 2 and the AC-130 Spooky aircraft relevant for future fights. The command's director of whatever. Quote, the notion that really matters is really platform agnostic. Brigadier General Craig Panther said, if we don't modernize our platforms, you can forget about being effective in the future fight. Agreed? Upgrades to the modified C-130s include integration of the Rapid Dragon pallet launcher, which can launch the AGM-158 joint air-to-surface missile, Panther said. AFSOC, I'll have to call back. Sorry. I should have put myself on Don't Disturb. Oh, give me a second to fix that. Be back in 30 minutes. Yeah, call you back in 30 minutes. Got priorities here, people. Let's see. Where was I? If we don't modernize our platforms, you can forget about being effective in the future fight. Upgrades to the modified C-130s include integration of the Rapid Dragon. Okay, I already read that. Anyway, all right. Let me check out some of these super chats. And there is a question on Instagram. Let me hit that one first. Oh, there's a couple. Shoot. All right. What's the process like getting into BMT? By that, I mean, can I fly there myself? No, you don't fly there yourself. You need to go, no offense, but based off of your question, you need to go see a recruiter first. You're going to hit MEPS. You're going to come back. You're going to deal with your recruiter. And then you're going to go to MEPS again. And then the Air Force is going to coordinate your movement to basic training. If you have to fly, they'll fly you. If you're close enough to take a bus, they'll bus you. They'll house you in the night before in a hotel, all that kind of stuff. So you do not have to pay for yourself to get to basic training. Next one is best time for a high schooler to meet with a recruiter for a positive or a possible delayed entry program. Yesterday. And since you can't go yesterday, you go today. Reach out to them. You need to understand, though, that these recruiters are extremely busy. For example, the highest intake in the Air Force right now is Las Vegas, which is where I'm at. Each recruiter here has right around 30 at any one time, 30 recruits, candidates at any one time. So they're always on the phone. They're always answering emails. They're always answering DMs and all that kind of stuff. So be patient with them. Okay. Ron, what'd you say? John Shelley gifted 5 memberships. Yeah. No shit. John Shelley, man. That's awesome. Dude, thanks for doing that. I'll get to the super chats, but I don't even know how that works. So one of our members gifted 5 memberships on YouTube to people. So I'll have to figure out how that works. But if you had considered becoming a member on our YouTube, go over there, check it out, and see if you can snag some of these 5 that were gifted by John Shelley. So thank you for that. John, shoot us an email. I'm sure you already have my email, and we'll get your shirt out, man. That's awesome. Thank you. Okay, let me finish these questions on Instagram. When do I qualify for an Air National Guard VA home loan? Probably upon, I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing that it is probably once you get your AFSC, your Air Force Specialty Code, assigned to you and you've graduated, not just basic training, but your tech school. I'm guessing, though. I'm not sure. Let's see. Going enlisted with a degree rather than commissioning. Yeah, people do it all the time. Our enlisted force is extremely educated right now. We get more and more people that are joining with a degree already because there is a degree payback. There is a student loan payback plan that the Air Force has. So if you have student loan debt, you can actually get some of that, not forgiven, but paid back. And then if you're almost done with your degree and you're like, dude, I just got to get out of here and I have no interest in going further in debt, or I just need to get out of here, join the Air Force, then use tuition's assistance to help pay for the rest of your education. Then you'll also get the post 9/11 GI Bill as well, which is massive. And even if you didn't use that, your wife or your kids or your husband or whatever, your future, even if you don't have one now, like a family now, your future family, you can transfer that 9/11 GI Bill to them to help get them through school. Dude, it's an awesome program. Is the soft booking program still available for high school juniors? I don't know. What I do know is that you have to be 17 to be able to talk to a recruiter. If you're 16, they're going to tell you, "Hey, thanks for your interest. Please come back soon." So I'm guessing for a 17-year-old junior, there probably is some kind of soft booking and they'll talk to you about it, but reach out to a recruiter. Also, if you've been to or seen any of these recruiting centers that have Marines, Navy, Army, Air Force, right? And you wonder why the Army, the Navy, and the Marines are in the office and there's no one in the Air Force office. It's not because they're at home, it's because they're out traveling around at events. Like I said, the Air Force right now is blowing up with people trying to join over the other services. So these people are at answering emails, DMs, they're at development sessions, they are all over the place. They are running around like crazy. We actually have Staff Sergeant Ransom who's going to be coming on to do a live YouTube here. When do I have that scheduled? It's sometime in March. I have it scheduled, and she is a normal like Air Force enlisted accessions recruiter. So, can she help out with Air Force Special Warfare? Absolutely, she can, but that's not her specialty. We have Air Force Special Warfare recruiters for that. So, but I'm not sure about that soft booking program, but if I had to guess, it's similar to the DEP, the delayed entry program. So, can you elaborate on the transition TACP is going through? Are they becoming more unilateral shooter, commando, DA force, like the whatever unit you just mentioned, command troops? TACP is going through a whole bunch of stuff right now where they've got budgetary cuts, they've got billet cuts. I can't speak for their career field. We actually have the career field functional manager who is going to be coming on here in the next month or so, as soon as he gets his feet underneath him. And he's going to talk about the future of TACP and what that looks like with everything that's going on with it. So I don't want to give you a bad answer. I would say no, they are not going more towards a unilateral shooter mission. That is not that's not their mission as it is. So they're not that kind of force. I think that's probably all the questions on. Yeah, that's all the questions on Instagram. Let me hit some of these on YouTube. All right. Benjamin Woodard, dude, tier 3, awesome. Thanks, dude. John Pierre, member for 8 months, tier 3. Congrats. Thanks, John. I appreciate it. I wasn't going to say anything about it, but I have a feeling that Aaron probably said something about it, didn't he? I don't know. I don't see anything on it, but Aaron Love, Aaron Love, Hey Club, there's no way you said you'd rather have F-15s over A-10s when doing cast. Come on. Really? You sure about that? You sure about that? Let's see. Oh, snap. So that's how it is. So there, the 5 memberships that John Pierre gifted, looks like you can snatch them up. That's awesome. Dude, thanks again for that. Let's see. All right, so let me try. Thanks, John. I appreciate it, buddy. But I'm not going to talk about myself on this one. Yeah, March 14th. Sergeant Ransom's going to come on and we're going to do it live. We're going to do it live and then go from there. All right. Let's see. What else is going on in the news here? of interest from that news report that I talked about. Hey, on Instagram, the special warfare recruiter that says he wants to go live, dude, just request right now. Like, just request and let's do it. I think that'll work as long as what I have plugged in. We can try it out if you want. Just request to join, and then I'll accept, and then we'll try it out that way. Do you recommend a 4 or 6 year? I recommend a 6 year. The bonus is bigger, and then if you did a 4 year, assuming that you're talking about Air Force Special Warfare, if you did a 4 year, by the time you finish or get close to graduating, you're going to have to reenlist anyway. So may as well come in for a 6 year, get a bigger bonus, and then you don't have to reenlist. And it actually helps you plan out your reenlistment bonuses later on. So you're going to end up getting more money anyway, and it's less going back and forth. What feedback did I get on the poll that we put out? Let's see. I don't know if I'm going to be able to check that out yet. Let me see. I definitely won't be able to check it out on Instagram, but maybe I can check it out on the YouTube community. All right, let's see. Let's see how this works. Oh. Hey, what's going on, man? Oh, I'm not going to be able to hear you. Hold on a second. All right. Can you hear me now? Or let me see if I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear
you. Okay, cool, man. Well, thanks for joining, dude. I've never met you before.
to 2019, line officer recruiting, so that's all your flying jobs, engineer, intel officers, and then I did health professions and officer accessions recruiting. Now I'm doing special warfare recruiting. So I do have a lot of knowledge, information I can give your viewers.
Nice, man. Well, one of the questions that we got on there that I didn't know the answer to was the soft booking for juniors.
Yeah, that's usually a good way if you have a career or job in mind that you're really interested in. That is the best way to be able to make that happen with the Air Force. Usually, I want to say it's January timeframe of your junior year. So even though you may be 16 at the beginning of your junior year, if you know you're going to be turning 17 at some point during your junior year, yeah, definitely at the beginning of the junior year, get with a recruiter. You know, even let them know if you're 16, let them know, hey, I'm going to be 17 in January or in February. Because there are some things that a recruiter can do to kind of get ahead of the game. That way, when you do turn 17, boom, you're, in front of the line. Hopefully you get that, the top job that you're looking for.
Yeah. And so what's the kind of, sorry, I'm trying to do a bunch of different things here. What's the, like, kind of the wait time? Like, one of the questions was, hey, when should I reach out to a recruiter? And my answer was, well, you should have done it yesterday, but if not, like, do it today, because things no longer is it the time where you come in on a Friday and man, we ship you out the very next week. Like, it's at least 3 months usually.
Yeah, you are correct. It's gotten, so the process has gotten a lot harder in regards to like how smooth or how quick the process can go. And the biggest thing nowadays is we have this system called Genesis, and all the maps can basically go online and pull all your medical records. So, everybody's different. So for me, like, I grew up poor. So, like, I never went to the hospital because we couldn't afford it, right? But if you have individuals that are, like, just going to the hospital for every little thing, then there's going to be a lot of, like, medical history online because everything's electronic nowadays. So for somebody with a lot of medical history, the process may take longer. And I would say on average, and I would say 3. Yeah, 3 to 6 months. And that's just to go through the process, hopefully get qualified. Then, once you're qualified, now the recruiter's trying to get you or find you a job.
And the earlier the better, because you got a better chance of getting the job that you want versus kind of like, hey, listen, I just need to get out of this situation that I'm in, or I just need to, I graduated. I didn't realize that, oh crap, life's about to hit me. I don't have school to go to. I'm not going to, I don't want to say you're not going to get anywhere with Starbucks or working wherever you are, right? It's an honest living, it's an honest job, but I want more for myself. And if you think that I show up after graduation and I'm going to ship out at the end of June, that's just not going to happen. So what are some other like frequently asked questions that you get?
Well, we do. So everybody with a bachelor's degree, like nowadays, like a bachelor's degree is like a high school diploma nowadays. Like everybody's got one. So, and again, just because I have the experience, which unfortunately, like when somebody with a bachelor's degree goes to a recruiting office, it's going to be a new recruiter or newer recruiter, tier 1. So it's his first assignment. So unfortunately, they don't have like ready available information right off the bat to kind of help guide them better. So usually they're like, oh, you got a bachelor's degree? They'll talk to they don't have line officer recruiters now. It's officer of sessions now, which is health professions and line officer smashed together. But in regards to like the office that I work out of, whenever somebody comes in with a bachelor's degree, like I give them the breakdown. Usually I'll get to know them a little bit, like, hey, where do you work? What do you do? How much money do you make? And usually, like, they got a bachelor's degree in this, but they're not even working in that. They're like way over here, like making pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
So I give them the rundowns, like, look, commissioned officer positions. If you qualify, it only gives you the opportunity to apply for the job. That's for all commissioned positions. So it's just like in the civilian sector. Fill out a job application, you submit it to HR, they review it, they look at everybody else, they compare you, and then HR hires the best candidates. So unfortunately, for commissioned officer positions in the Air Force, like the secret is out. The secret is out. Air Force is the best. The secret is out. For officer accessions, we get way too many applicants. So now health professions is very different though. But let me give you like a quick breakdown. For individuals that are trying to pursue like flying positions, pilot, drone pilot, positions like that, I have the statistics and stuff like that on a spreadsheet. Typically, like the selection rates of close to 20%. So in a sense, like without having to look at anybody's application, 80% not getting hired, not getting selected. 80% right off the bat, and that's just because of the mathematics behind it. Is it commissioned officer positions? It's a small number in the Air Force. Like the biggest group of Air Force members are the enlisted side. Mechanics, technicians, specialists, computer guys, and stuff like that. And then we go over to the non-flying jobs that are non-medical. Those ones get a little harder to get selected for. I would say those ones selection rate is probably between 5 and 10%. And again, that's just strictly based on the mathematics. Like The secret is out. Air Force is awesome. Not perfect. I ain't saying it's perfect. Like, there's some things I don't like, to be honest with everybody. But overall, though, like, it's the best. I love it. I love it so much that I got out. Like, I got out after 6 years and came running back. So, so yeah, you know, for the non-flying jobs, for health professions, like, selection rates are good. Selection rates are good. So anybody out there listening, like if you're going to college for something in medical to commission to get a bachelor's degree or a master's, a PhD, depending on what specialty you're going for, yeah, definitely get in touch with the Officer of Sessions recruiters that manage the health profession sides. You guys are going to have a really good shot of actually getting selected to commission in the medical fields. The other ones is just, it's very competitive. Oh, another gem of knowledge. Anybody starting their college and you're planning on wanting to commission with the Air Force, hands down, electrical engineering degree. I cannot stress that so much. Actually, my son right now, like, he's a high school senior. He's going to college for electrical engineering. If you have an electrical engineering degree, applying to work for, you know, in that job, whether it's Air Force or Space Force, last time I checked, like, selection rate was really high. I would say like 90%. Like, you got an electrical engineering degree and you want to commission in the Air Force or Space Force, very, very, very high chance of selection. And likewise, if, you know, let's say you have some other engineering degree, but you want to fly, you want to be a pilot, having that engineering degree actually helps. Doesn't guarantee selection, but it actually does help being selected for those very, very competitive positions.
Okay, so what's one of the things that you see at MEPS that kind of, I saw a comment on here, that's why, and they asked, what's a common problem you see that recruits have when they go through MEPS?
With recruits, I would say the biggest thing is you have to trust your recruiter, and your recruiter has to trust you. Okay, so it's, if you don't trust them, like, let them know, like, hey man, this don't sound right. And even for me, like with the people that I work with, like, I flat out ask them, it's like, hey, do you trust what I'm telling you, or are you kind of like unsure? Other than that, just be as honest with your recruiter as possible, because so for me, like, I'm very thorough. I am very, very thorough. As an example, with the applicants that I work, when we get to like asking like medical history information, like, I send them an email, and my email says, hey, go ask your mom, go ask your dad, go ask your uncle, your auntie, your grandma, your grandpa. Ask them about, that time you fell off of the monkey bars when you were 3 years old and you cracked your head open and they took you to the emergency room. Like, you better write that down. Like, check with everybody. Let's be as thorough as possible. So the biggest thing that sets an applicant's process back, and keep in mind, like, us recruiters, like, hey, I'm already in. I'm already getting paid. I'm getting paid very well. I got great benefits. I'm enjoying being a recruiter. The only person that's going to be affected negatively is going to be the applicant. And what I mean by that is, if the applicant is not honest with the recruiter, or if that trust is not there, and then they go to MEPS, and then for some odd reason, everybody's memory gets real good when they go to MEPS, and then on their own, they're like, oh yeah, when I was 3, I fell off these monkey bars and I cracked my head open and I went to the emergency room. And then the chief medical officer's like, well, you didn't write that down. So right then and there, like, boop, you're disqualified. You get sent home. You basically just wasted an entire day. And then you have to go back to your recruiter and let him know. Then he has to update paperwork, resubmit it, and it's going to take longer. So again, if anything, just be honest with your recruiter and make sure that you trust your recruiter and your recruiter trusts you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't like what's your name and where can people find you in terms of Instagram, and then I don't know where your office is out of.
Yeah, so I'm Tech Sergeant Castellum. I'm actually out of Puerto Rico. Yeah, in Guaynabo, like the mall there. It's San Patricio Mall. But that's where I guess where you would call my office. I'm special warfare, so I'm always out and about, like trying to find some bad,
Yeah.
very fit individuals. So, but no, and then my Instagram, to be honest with you, Air Force underscore special underscore Warforce underscore PR for Puerto Rico. Yeah.
Awesome.
Again, a lot of information. I don't think, and I always make a joke of this in Air Force recruiting service. I don't think in Air Force recruiting service history, I don't think there has ever been a person that has done recruiting this long on production. Meaning like 11 plus years, man. Like people, yeah, not an easy job.
No, absolutely. It's not an easy job. So thanks for what you're doing, man. I appreciate it. And keep up the good fight. And if there's ever anything that ONESREADY can do for you to help out, then let us know. So I'm gonna close it up here, though. I'll appreciate you joining. I don't know if you want to hop off or you want to hang on here while I close this out, and then we'll go over there. All right.
Yeah, just let me know.
Sounds good, man. So everybody out there on Instagram and on YouTube, appreciate you joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a review, visit onesready.com, get yourself a piece of merch. You guys have got all of our partners on there. We talked about drinkhoist.com, promo code ONESREADY. We've got Barbell Apparel. We've got Attack Elite. We've got 18 Out Fitness, Modern Athlete Shrink System. We've got CardoMax, all those things with the appropriate codes and links and all that kind of stuff. So feel free to check them out, and then we'll go from there. All right, everybody. We're out here. Later.